Hey guys, me again. I know I was supposed to post a chest day yesterday. I did say I was going to, but guess what? I injured myself doing that chest day. I might post a video explaining exactly what happened, but basically I went to a different gym for chest, one that I don't normally go to, like my other gym. And the dumbbells there are much wider, so like they're not as thick as the ones in here. So I did the same weight I normally do, did all my warm-ups and everything felt fine, but on my top set, as I was going up the dumbbell, it went like out to the side because it's wider, and I just felt my chest like strain as I did it. It wasn't like a massive thing. I carried on working out. I was like, yeah, it's fine, you know, I'll keep pushing through. I did some stretching, did some more warming up, everything felt good. But as I went through the exercises, I got like 2 or 3 more sets in, all my strength just fell off a cliff. I was doing last session like the 42s for 10, and I got them for like 4 this time, and I was like, shit, so it's not right. Like, there's no way you'd lose that much strength just for no reason. And then carried on going, and before you know it, I couldn't even do like half the weight I'd normally do. Obviously you gotta know when to call it quits. If you just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, at a certain point you're just making it worse and worse and worse. So I'm glad I stopped when I did. Obviously on the other hand, sometimes when you think you've injured yourself, you can just do a little bit more of a warm-up or stretch out a little bit and you're back to normal. You can finish your session absolutely fine. So it's knowing when to be smart and call it quits, and when to have a bit more, you know, grit and push through. But definitely could not push through that. It's still sore now on my chest. It is arm day today. That's by the shirtless top. Not shirtless top, sleeveless top. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to do dips like I normally do. Dips are my compound exercise for today. Blow up my triceps, but if my chest is pretty fucked still. I don't really want to make it worse because chest is the best muscle group to train, and if I make it even worse, then it means I can't train it for longer. So there's no point in doing that. So I'll see how I feel. I'll go in there, warm up properly. I do an extra long warm up today. You should always warm up properly no matter what, but because I've been injured, I'm definitely going to do an even longer warm up, more stretching than normal, make sure everything's all good to go. And then I'll decide if I'm going to pull the trigger and actually do dips or not. If I don't, I'm not sure what I'll do instead, but I'll find something. But it's just, you know, I can train arms today fine because my chest isn't like torn off the bone, it's just a little strain, so I'm not like too worried. But I'm not going to do anything that could definitely aggravate it, like a dip, if I don't feel like it's going to work. But yeah, absolutely lovely day today. Again, it's been like 3 weeks of like, I don't know, the Mediterranean in the UK right now, so definitely going to take that for, you know, take it while I can, get in there, get a good lift in, and yeah, I'm ready to go. Get a good arm pump.
Warm-up sets are done. Do you know what? I'm feeling ready to go. I'm definitely feeling like I can do this and not risk getting majorly injured, which is a good thing. It's kind of the bare minimum, but you know what I mean. All things considered, doing heavy dips 2 days after a chest injury probably isn't the best idea. But if you're smart, if you do the right things, it's definitely manageable. I haven't had a major pec tear or anything like that, and obviously you need surgery and stuff. I've just had a minor chest strain. A few days off chest training should be okay. Obviously, I wouldn't train my chest directly now. I'm going to do a very, very tricep dominant dip movement right now. So I'm going to try and stay as vertical as I possibly can to try and take as much chest activation out because of obviously the injury. Also because I'm not training chest today. So this is what I try and do on a normal arm day anyway. I don't want my chest to be sore after my arm day because that'll just mess up my chest training. But because of the injury, I'm going to have to make sure even more so than normal that I get rid of any chest involvement from this. Or you can't get rid of all of it, obviously, but as much as I possibly can. So I'm going to try and stay very upright. I'm going to activate my triceps as much as I can. And obviously, if anything feels bad, I'll stop straight away and move on to the next thing. You know, something less risky. But yeah, just be smart. Don't be an idiot. You know, it's all well and good to push through and just hard work, right? But if you end up hurting yourself even more, then all you're going to do is set you back even further, and no one wants that. The worst thing ever is being injured. It sucks, especially if you love the gym, you know. But also, if you can do it, you may as well. There's no point not doing it. You know, don't be too scared either to push yourself. There's a fine line. First 2 sets are done. The second set didn't record, but you know what? I'm glad I pushed through. I'm glad I went for it because everything felt great to start and everything's still feeling great. I did get one less rep than last time. That's because I kind of went to like 95%. Probably could have grinded out one more rep on that first set, but I have still got to be cautious, mindful, cautious that I am post-injury. Let's not, take it too far and hurt ourselves. 95% for that one set was good enough for today. Trust me, second I get onto the tricep isolatory exercises and the bicep stuff, I'll be going 110%. But, maybe leave one rep in the tank on these sets just because they're very chest, incorporating. And I don't want to push my luck too much, I'm just glad I can get in there and still do this and I'm not doing some, completely isolatory exercises, the whole session. I'm glad I can still do my compounds with it without any sort of pain or discomfort. So let's not take that for granted and hurt ourselves. But on to the last set now. I've dropped down the weight a little bit, 5 kilos. Got to go for about 8 reps this set. We'll see how it goes, obviously. But yeah, go push myself again. See how it goes. First 2 sets are done. Biceps feel amazing. This is really when I can push it 110% because obviously no injury in the biceps at all. There's no chest getting involved in this, not enough to notice anyway. So I can really put 110% in, and those first 2 sets were pretty intense. But this is my main movement for biceps. Obviously, I go it's as intense on all the other ones, but this one is like my heavy. Really try and go a bit lower rep ranges and just try and move some weight with as good form as possible, obviously. But these give you the craziest pump ever. If you put a gun to my head and said you have to get the craziest bicep pump you possibly can with one exercise, this would be what I jumped on straight away. No thoughts about it. It's constant tension throughout. So even at the bottom, where I'm fully lengthened, which on a normal dumbbell curl, you'd have no tension whatsoever because gravity is acting straight through the joints. On this machine, even when you do have your arm fully straightened, you've still got tension because of the way the cables keep that constant tension. You're not as reliant on gravity. It doesn't apply. So it just means there's no break. Even when I'm holding at the bottom, my biceps still get stretched. And obviously training your biceps in that lengthened position is the most important. That's what a lot of the researchers are saying nowadays. So it is a good thing to try and get some movements in your workouts which do bias the lengthened portion. Obviously cables don't bias the lengthened portion. They just are constant tension throughout. So they do a lot more than dumbbells, but not quite as much as some of the movements, which I'll move on to later. Tricep push downs done. The one arm variant, obviously. I love those. My favourite tricep movement. I can really isolate the triceps. If you struggle to feel your triceps, I definitely recommend doing that as your main exercise, especially to start. So once you got pump, it's a lot easier to feel the muscles. So doing something at the start that you rarely you can connect with is always a good idea, especially if you're newer to lifting and you can't, you're not quite sure if you're feeling the right muscles, the right techniques. It definitely helps. Yeah, absolutely love that one. Go a bit heavier on them. But I'm on to Preacher dumbbell curls now. These are about as much of a lengthened biased bicep movement as you can possibly get. I don't want to sound too scientific. Basically, what that means is the lengthened portion of the movement, which is where your arm is fully straightened, your bicep is fully straightened, is the most important technically. According to a lot of the science research the last few years, that is the most important. So you definitely want to try and bias that, and this is the best way to do it. Because as my arm comes down the pad and is fully straightened, the distance between my elbow and my wrist, which is basically your lever arm, is the maximum it could possibly be. So gravity is strongest at the lengthened portion of the movement. So basically, the rep is hardest at the lengthened part, which is what you're looking for. And when I go all the way up and contract to the top, there's basically no tension at all. I basically can't feel my biceps working at all, which is fine. This is a lengthened bias movement. I wouldn't do all your movements like this because you wouldn't get any sort of contraction at the top part of the range of motion. You wouldn't get any work done there at all. And even though it's not as important as a lengthened portion, it definitely is still important. You definitely still want most of your bicep work or any muscle work to be including the whole range of motion, not just the lengthened bit. But one of my 3 exercises for today is a lengthened bias one, and that is this one. So this is a great exercise, great pump. It's a bit of a weird pump. It's not the same as a normal bicep pump because you miss out that contracted bit. So it's sort of like a stretching pump. So your biceps feel like they've been stretched. They don't feel like they've got a pump kind of thing. But once you try it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, onto that now. Going to do 2 sets of this and push ourselves hard. Tricep push down's done. Make sure not to use any chest in that. Well, when I say not use any, I mean as little as possible. So yeah, everything feeling good. Chest has not been flaring up at all today, which is really good. Hopefully that means my chest day in 2 days will be going ahead as normal, unless something else comes up, or obviously on the day if it feels weird I won't be doing it. But fingers crossed, touch wood, that I can actually train chest again. If so, that will mean I've basically only missed 1 chest day from the injury, which would be amazing. That's really not too bad of a consequence. Bear in mind what could have happened. It could have been weeks off chest if it went the wrong way. But obviously hasn't happened yet, but should be back to normal then. But yeah, first set of dumbbell done as well. They feel great. They're just a great exercise to toast the biceps in all parts of the range of motion, apart from the lengthening, but most of it, as much as you can get. And yeah, 2 more sets of these. You can tell I'm nearly done with the workout. I just can't think straight. But yeah, 2 more sets of these, and then posing onto my cardio, which is everyone's favorite part of the day, obviously. And then yeah, wrapped up, go home, eat meals, and get to bed, ready for a back and abs tomorrow. I'm not sure if I'll record that tomorrow or whether I'll do a different style of video. I might talk about something else, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I do want to post one today and tomorrow because obviously I missed out the video for chest day. I'm trying to be much more consistent with the videos, so let's put my money where the mouth is and actually get some videos out. But yeah, 2 more sets and then we are done for the day. So let's make these sets count.
Guess who completely forgot to film an outro yesterday. So while I'm editing the video now, here's the outro. Thanks for watching, guys. I hit cardio after that. I'm not sure if I mentioned. Hit cardio. Everything felt good. I'm on 20 minutes on the Stairmaster daily. Have been for about 10 weeks now. I'm slowly ramping up the intensity on the Stairmaster. The settings, so it gets harder and harder. Sort of progressive overload kind of thing. But yeah, it's the next day. I'm getting ready to go and hit back now. The next day, back and abs. So that'll probably be the next video. But thanks so much for watching. As always, any comments, any feedback, any suggestions, please chuck it in the comments. I'm open to any constructive criticism. Let me know exactly what you want to see, what you think can be better. But yeah, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.